Welcome to our webinar. Today we are going to discuss about, are you worried because the markets are so uncertain and you don't know what you should be doing if you're thinking about retirement or if you're already retired? Here we're going to discuss the 5 major pitfalls or mistakes that we usually see that some clients can have when they are just about to retire or when they are already retired. So let's just start with this first slide. We always have to say I'm not acting here as your financial advisor. Everything that we are going to share today is going to be only for educational purpose only. As you know, past performance is not an indicative of future returns or performance. This is not an investment advice. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. So if we just going for our agenda for today, let me just introduce myself. My name is Alonso. I'm a certified financial planner. I haven't been in the industry for the last 25 years. I've been named by Investopedia and by ETF like one of the top financial advisors in the US, and recently by Go Bankrate as a top money expert here. So we are going to share some knowledge here from our clients, and the 5 pitfalls that we would like to discuss today are, well, the first one, ignoring inflation. And well, maybe you're going to live longer, which is a good news here. How is your investor profile? Are you too conservative, too aggressive? Always taxes are going to be in the middle there, and we have to discuss about that. Also, well, what about estate planning? Is something that you have on your mind? Is something that you're working on or something like that? And the last one is like, how is that retirement that you are thinking about or that you're already experiencing, and what should be you doing to enjoy more your retirement? So let's go and start. I will say that sometimes people, it's not that they forget about inflation, but the effect that inflation can have in your retirement is quite substantial here. You're using some information from the Federal Reserve here, and you can see that most of the time people are going to be retired for maybe 25 or 30 years in the future. If we see it like that, you will see that in this slide we have like from 1995, and if you use the actual inflation numbers, and you take $100 and you go for 2025 and you still have your $100, but you go out to buy something. When you are going to buy something in 2024, you need like $200 to buy the same things that you were buying before. So in a way, a lot of clients, what they are thinking these days, yeah, the interest rates are quite high these days, but if they start to go low, and you keep all your money in the bank, when you're going to start buying your things, like you're retired, you have been saving your entire life, you leave all your money just in the bank, and let's think that you're not making a great rate in that bank, and then you just go there to buy it, your purchasing power is going to be cut in half. So this is really important, the effect that inflation can have in your money. Because if like people are not starting to think about inflation in time, well, the inflation is going to start eating your money just like a monster. They are eating your money there. So be careful with inflation, is really important. Actually, the real number will be like $100 you will need in 2024 from 1995 to $111. So it's quite substantial. So some other clients said, but I'm not so worried because of that, because I'm going to be receiving my Social Security check, and that Social Security check is going to be adjusted by inflation, but this COLA adjustment, which is just the cost of living adjustment. This is completely true, but sometimes COLA does not work on your favor. What I'm trying to say here, as you can see the graph, you see the inflation and the COLA adjustments. They look really, really similar in the last 50 years. But if we just drill down the data and we review that, in almost 56% of the cases, the inflation was higher than the COLA that the retirees got in their check. So what I'm trying to say here is like the way the cost of living is calculated is they just take 1/4 of the year. And they calculate the annual inflation with that. Sometimes it works great, like we can see in this graph here. Like sometimes the COLA is even bigger than inflation, the general inflation, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. So be careful with that, just thinking, oh, but that check is going to be adjusted by inflation. We have many, retirees that are saying, no, my check is not growing as fast as inflation. So take that into consideration there. And if we keep reading about this, we also know that the Social Security was never made to cover all your living expenses when you are retired. On average, it can cover like almost 31% of your income. So if you're just thinking, oh, I'm going to receive that check and that check is going to support me or is already supporting you in retirement, you know it's not like that. We hope it will be like that, but it's not like that. It's just one part of your retirement. But it's not going to be the solution for your retirement. So if your other money is not growing with inflation, you have like two different forces working against you. Like you don't have enough money coming from your Social Security check, and maybe your other money, well, inflation is causing this, effect on their purchasing power there. So if we can see it here also, in these days, everything is about AI. And AI is going to help us in many, many ways, but also is going to help us to live longer. If we can see it, the AI can manage large amount of data, and they can, doctors are going to be able to predict what disease conditions you may have, or how they are going to treat that, and they are going to be able to give you a faster diagnosis because they are going to be able to manage so many data so fast with this AI technology that will really help. And also in the future, and we already seeing it, we're gonna have like virtual health assistants when you're feeling, sick or something like that. Maybe you don't have to go to that hospital if it's not something really important there, but maybe you're just going to ask your virtual health assistant, and that will help you. But that brings us something that is really good because we're gonna live longer, but also another concern that is going to be like you will have to have more money in retirement to be able to support your independent retirement, and your expenses while you're retired. So if we see it like this one, sometimes I feel that clients feel like, oh, my the horizon for my investment is quite short, maybe because you're 50 or you're 55 and you're about to retire or you're already retired. And if we can see it here, in this first graph, these 8 years, what it means is like, well, you're retiring in maybe at 60, 62, whatever age. And then at 67, that is the full retirement age. You said, oh, I'm ready to retire. I don't know what happens with the investor mind, but they feel like, okay, now I need my money. No, you don't need that money now because you're not going to have a big party and waste all your money at once. What is going to happen there is you're going to start withdrawing the money that you need for your expenses, and the other chunk of your money is going to be invested there, and it's going to keep being invested there for a longer period. If we can see it like that, maybe, I don't know, you can be living for until you're 90. If it's something like that, we are not talking about a portfolio that should be invested only for 8 years, but it's a portfolio that maybe is going to be invested for more than 30 years. So now when we see it like that, we know, we have talked about this in other webinars, in the longer the period, the better the probability for you to have better returns in the stock market. Because it's not that the past can predict the future, but if we see it in all the statistics, we can see that if you have like periods that are longer, from 10 years, 20 years, something like that, it will be really hard for you to experience a major loss in your portfolio. Maybe 1 year is not going to be so good, and maybe another year, maybe you are going to have a wonderful year there. But what I'm trying to say, like when you're thinking about your portfolio and the way that you're investing, please don't be so concerned about what's going on for this week, maybe this year, or even the next 4 years, because in your portfolio should be invested for a longer period there. And if we add here all this new effect about AI, and if people are going to start living longer, the other thing that we can see here it's like, well, maybe your retirement, maybe you're going to live till you're 100 or something like that. And if you live until you're 100, now we are talking about like 40 years in retirement. So if we say that like it's almost, well, not half and half, but you're going to be working for 60 years, maybe you're going to be retired for 40 years. And that brings another kind of different problems that maybe you're going to have to work for a longer period, but that portfolio, that 401k, I mean, that different money that you have there is going to keep growing until, well, RMDs are going to kick in, but we're going to discuss about that. But what I'm trying to say here is like, don't get so worried about the short-term view, because even if you're already retired, your horizon is still really long there. So taking that into consideration, we will say, okay, where you should be investing, this is a really personal decision. It has to do with your investor profile. Please always talk to your investment advisor or your certified financial planner. But I will say that if we see this graph from, it is a slide from Schwab. They show us like from 1970 to 2021. It's almost more than 50 years there. If we compare the return from, I mean, this blue bar is a return of the stocks, gold, and then bonds, and then, well, a certificate of deposit. I mean, whatever money you have in the bank and things like that, like cash in the bank. And then we reduce that amount and we deduct from that amount the inflation. We can still see that stocks, and until now, well, are one of the assets with best return in time. Um, Not even gold, not even bonds, not, well, not banks. I mean, instruments there. So what we are trying to show here is like stocks should be something that you should be taking into consideration in your portfolio according to your investor profile. And remember that if the stocks go ups and down, you really want that. That's something that is normal in the market. So stocks could help you to get a portfolio that will last for all these years and you can have a better position there. Okay. So if we can moving forward here, we can go for our second, I mean, stake over here that we can see that, well, when we are thinking about the portfolio and your investor profile, sometimes most of the clients will be saying, well, I'm getting too old, or I should not be investing in this way because I'm too old. And these times are really uncertain. Maybe things are going to be different this time and things like that, which is kind of true in a way. But sometimes we have to go for something like this. It's like we have some clients that maybe they are falling behind. Maybe they have some issues in the past. Maybe they did not save enough, or maybe they have a bad return for a long time, or something happens with their investments. And when they're approaching their retirement or they're already retired, maybe they're looking for this magical solution that is going to give them that boost of return, that extra return. I mean, to get for, I mean, to find or be able to get that dream retirement. Please be really careful with this. I mean, it's like, don't be over aggressive when you're approaching your retirement or when you're already retired. And don't try to look for that magical solution that doesn't work. Remember, if it is too good to be true, no, don't go for that route or that way. And also at the same time, we have other kind of clients that maybe sometimes they tell them, well, if you're over 65, you should not have any stocks in your portfolio. You should just be buying annuities or maybe just getting some bonds and things like that. I would say it depends in your investor profile. It depends in how is your emergency fund, how are your debts and different kind of things. But sometimes that's those solutions like oh, just buy an annuity because you don't want to see the ups and downs in the market. I feel it's not the best option because most of the time they have high commissions that are really good for the person that are selling that product to you, but not that good for you as an investor sometimes because maybe you can really experience the ups and downs in the market just with the right mix of stocks and bonds in your portfolio and with a great rebalancing there of that portfolio. And maybe you should not be with all your money frozen in just one place, like an annuity or something like that, or maybe just earning some returns that these days bonds are giving a great rate, but maybe you will need something that, well, can rebalance and can go up and down, and that effect of that is called like something is going up and the other asset is going down, so you can rebalance your position. So just don't believe like, oh, you're getting old, so you should not have stocks and you should have everything in bonds. It depends in the way that your finances are. If we keep looking at here, yeah, as we were discussing, this is a graph from Invesco. The markets go up and down. That's normal. It's like if you see these dark blue areas, that these hills that are coming up here, and these bold numbers, the bold numbers tell us the number of months that the market was going on up. This was from the 60s till, I mean, to 2021. And you can see the times that the market has been going down also. But we can see a lot of things from this graph. The first one is the times that the markets go up are in longer period, and the percentage is even bigger. I mean, it gives you a better return when it's going up. And also we can see that sometimes markets goes down. It's something normal. And sometimes markets goes down really deeply here, as we can see it here. Actually, what this was COVID situation, it just lasted 1 month. It was like 30 something percent, but then the markets recovered after that. So I will say that don't be afraid when the markets goes down. I mean, you just have to have a different strategy. We're going to discuss about that, but you can definitely see that when the market goes up and you stay in the market and you're not trying to predict what is going to happen, if should I be, I mean, selling everything or should I be in the market, I will say that it's always better to stay in the market, not trying to time in the market, which is not a good strategy there. And if we go here, one of the good strategies that you can also be implemented will be something like this. It's like, well, you should keep at least 1 year of your savings. I mean, for if the market goes down, you will have your money in a regular high yield saving account, in a money market fund or something like that, or in a regular bank, for you to be able to use it for that year when the markets are going down. So you have that piggy bank there for your we can say like short term, I mean, needs of money. And then you have your portfolio on the other side, which will be, well, now your portfolio should be constructed or build it in a different way with different assets. So for a longer term view. So always have something like this. If you feel that you need, I mean, to be more, I mean, you feel a lot of uncertainty these days and all that. Well, instead of a year, you can take like 18 months or maybe 2 years of savings there. So if the market goes down, like it happened like in 2007, that the market went down for almost like, it took 2 years for you to recover after all that, well, you're going to be in a way protected, and you're going to use that money. And remember, and if the markets are still down and you need to withdraw part of your money, remember, you don't need it all. We saw it there. It's like 30 years, 40 years of your horizon there. So you can just going to withdraw one part, but not everything at once, okay? So if we go here, the third pitfall that we always check here will be RMDs. It's just that ticking bomb that sometimes, well, you have been saving your entire life in your 401k, a cash balance plan, an IRA account, or a combination of different kind of strategies. But now when you are, I mean, in almost like when you're 73, if you were born between 1951 and 1959, well, now the IRS is going to tell you you need to start withdrawing money from that account. And that money that you are going to withdraw is going to come just as income there. Remember, if you were born in 1960 or later, your RMDs are going to start when you are 75. So RMDs, in a really easy way, what they do is like they take the balance of your account from the last December, the last day of December, and from that they have the IRS has a table, and it's going to tell you how much money you have to withdraw. The problem with that, remember, all that money is coming as income, even if you need it or not. But then the issue will be that I have some clients that they are 80, and sometimes they are paying way more in taxes than that what they were paying in their best, I mean, professional years, what they were actively working, what I mean. So be careful with RMDs, start to make some strategies. One of the first one will be what we call the valley of tax optimization. It's something like this. As you can see here, you are working here when you decide to retire, And when you're retired for all these years before you get to that 73 or 75, well, you are in the one of your lowest tax bracket ever. So people feel so good and say, oh, well, I'm one of this low tax bracket. I just retired. I pay all these taxes for all these years. And finally, I'm in this low tax bracket. But they don't realize that then with the RMDs, the money's going, you have to start withdrawing that money. As you can see this uphill here, maybe you're going to be paying more taxes than what you're paying before. But our suggestion will be try not to have such a low tax bracket for these years after retirement. Maybe you can start something that is going to be called like a Roth conversion strategy. We are going to talk about that, and then you can pay a little bit more taxes in these years, and that will help you to reduce the amount of taxes that you will have to pay in the future. That strategy is called the Roth conversion strategy. We have done it 1,000 times with our clients. The way this works is like always try to look for a certified financial planner that is going to be a fee only and fiduciary to work with you with this, something like that. Not someone that is going to be trying to sell the different kind of products there. With high commissions and things like that. But always try to look for someone that is going to run the numbers for you because these strategies are complicated. But what you're looking for is like to transfer from money from your 401k, your traditional IRA, your traditional 401k, your transfer money or assets, that's called in kind, to your Roth IRA. You're going to be paying taxes for the amount that you're converting. But as I said, you can decide your tax bracket in a way because the more money that you withdraw is just going to tell you how much you're going to be paying in taxes there. So you can play with that lever, and run different scenarios for you to keep optimizing that. And when RMDs kick in, so now the balance in your account is going to be like a lower balance, so you can use that on your favor. So the fourth mistake will be like, well, if we see this, this is a study from D.A. Davidson. It shows that one is in, I mean, per each 10 Americans, 7 they don't have a will, they don't have any kind of estate planning documents. And the main reason is like nobody likes to talk about these kind of things. I will say we have seen like 3 different, causes of this will be the first one, procrastination. You're in your day-to-day activities. This is something that like we are thinking about all the days. You're just working, everything's going on. Sometimes you don't have the time for that. Other clients, sometimes they are thinking that it's quite expensive and this is something only for the ultra high network clients. So I'm not going to have a trust or something like that. It sounds like for someone that has a lot of money. But in these days, with there are so many web portals that can can offer this service to you for, a will. It will cost you like $200 and $300, just something like that. And even a trust could cost you like $600 or $800 or something like that. So sometimes it's not that expensive, and it's something that is going to save your beneficiaries a lot of money, and it's going to also help you not for your beneficiaries being in that hard situation that when they're about, they just lost you and all that, and now they have to deal with the judge and with all the lawyers and with all those fees and commissions there. And I would say the last one is like nobody wants to talk about that. It's something that we don't want to think about it, but it's going to be there someday. So yeah, it will be nice to have. So uh, the estate planning documents that we will highly suggest for you to have will be these 3 stars. The first one, your last will. Yeah, this is the way your my assets are going to be distributed. If you have a brokerage account, use something that is called the TOD, this transfer on death. It's just like a will for your brokerage account. Also, remember to review your beneficiaries in your 401k or IRA accounts or retirement accounts or Roth IRA accounts also. Uh, Sometimes clients ask us, should I have a will or should I have a trust? What is better for me? I will say that, well, trusts are the only one that helps you to, to navigate your beneficiaries, to navigate that process without going to probate. But also, I would say that most of the time trusts are used for those cases that are more complicated in a way. Like if you have a previous marriage, I mean, with some kids, you got divorced, now you get remarried, now you have some kids, so maybe you want to help everyone, or maybe if you have a kid that you know that is not that good managing money and you want to help him and you want to leave all your wishes and your conditions there in a trust, that can help you there. Also, the power of attorney for financial decisions and things like that. That helps a lot in case like we saw it with some of our clients. I mean, they were, I mean, in COVID, both of them, maybe they were in the intensive care unit, something like that. And nobody had, I mean, the power of moving the money and paying just whatever the rent, I mean, the credit cards, whatever they will need it there just to pay for the bills. So that will be something important. And and the medical decisions and the living wills is something really important. I mean, for people to have access to your information and your medical record, I mean, information and data, and also for in case you said, I don't want to be, I mean, um, with a machine or something that is going to keep me alive and things like that, is something really important also to have into consideration. And I would say the last one is like not enjoying your retirement enough. And as we see, we have talked that maybe you're going to be retired in a regular situation for 30 years. From those 30 years, on average, maybe the first 10 or 15 years are going to be the ones that your body is going to be in optimal situation. I mean, in most of the cases, for you to keep traveling where you want to go, not in a wheelchair, things like that. I know it's gonna be hard because you have been like a saver for your life and say, okay, now I'm retired. Now I'm not receiving that money that is coming in. I'm spending all my money in these travels and things like that. But yeah, I mean, run your numbers, have a plan. I mean, check if you can make it. I mean, for you not to be worried about that, use a certified financial planner for that. But also, I mean, like do it. I mean, go there, enjoy it. You work your own life. I mean, it's the time for you to do it. And also, if you're the other kind of, I mean, client that maybe you were spending a lot. I mean, a lot of money was coming in, but your expenses are also really high. And now you're retired. It's going to be really difficult for you to change your lifestyle. But remember, maybe you're going to be withdrawing faster your money, and maybe you're going to be in trouble there. So be careful with those two different ways to go. Maybe you're a saver. Please do. I mean, that's why you save so much for your life. And also, if you spend a lot of money, I mean, you know that you spend a lot of money there. Be careful with that also. So I love Benjamin Franklin. I love this phrase. I mean, this quote is: "If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail." Remember, always try to look for a financial plan. I mean, try to look for a financial planner that is going to help you to, I mean, to draw all your plan, to check the scenarios, to run the scenarios. Because if not, you don't know where you're going. Like, is this the right portfolio? What are your R&Ds? I mean, like everything there. I mean, and someone that you can talk with about what is going on with the market to show you that, yeah, your horizon is longer and all these kind of things here. So this was our webinar for those of you that are still feeling nervous or want just a review of your case. Um, we provide a free meeting so we can discuss more about that. And we are 100% fiduciaries and fee only. And well, and thank you so much to all of you. And there we can see if we have any other questions here. Thank you.